Phoebe also. And there we go. So it's being broadcasted. Okay, cool. All right, let me open the material. Hello, Hetzi. I know you are busy. War is not and not participating, but I'm glad that you're here in the class. So, Diana, this is a different location where you at. Is that your house? Because it used to be a cafe or something, no?
No, I'm at home right now.
Because previous Saturdays it was in your house, right?
Yeah, I wasn't.
Cool.
I have to leave, but I'm at home.
Good, very good. Sí, vas a decir que qué fijadito y que no sé qué, no importa.
No, sorry, I was being so busy those weeks.
I understand, that's good.
Yes.
I'm very busy too as well. Hello, Isaac.
Hi.
How you doing? Ready for the conversation club?
Yes. I'm sorry. I had problems with my family, so I no pude conectarme temprano.
Ah, no te preocupes, llevamos media hora de clases, no hay problema. Pero bueno, ya sabemos que no es importante para ti. Cosas... Ah, no es cierto. We just opened the session. I'm sorry. Okay, so let me share my screen. So today is two, you can say, short topics, which is error correction and classroom management. But these two topics are, let me put it this way, they're essential for English teaching. For all teaching in the classroom, whether it's online or it's in the classroom, physical classroom, which our government is now is mandatory in the public sector to go in to take, physical classes. I don't know why, but that's government. But these two short topics, they are really important. And most importantly, we tend to forget them because they are too short that we believe that we do it automatically. Okay, so let's start with error correction, and then okay, let me share. No es cierto. Can you see my screen? Okay, two. Good, excellent. So error correction. When we teach, we need to correct, yes or no? If a student of ours makes a mistake, we need to correct. Okay, but we have three premises to take into consideration when correcting a student. And we have in the squares. The first one is, when should we correct? So this question gives us the idea that there are times in the class that you shouldn't correct. And we're going to see that. Then, how should we correct? Because there is ways to correct, okay? And then finally, there should be an integration or a feedback after the, correcting student. Because don't be the college teacher así de, que así no es, Diana, repeat, y ya. Y Diana se lo va a memorizar. But guess what? Diana is going to hate you, number one. And secondly, she's going to hate English. That's why this is the reason many people say, es que a mí no me gusta el inglés. Pues no, They had a teacher that was always jode, no? With them. So we need to know when and the how, and then what to say after correcting. So far, so good? Okay, now we are going to make a difference in English. And in Spanish, there's the same word, but in English, error versus mistake. You see that subtitle? Error versus mistake. Can you read it, Diana, the first point?
Yes. Error correction in ESL classes. Mistakes are good things, and students need to know that they are. Learning English is like learning to ride a bike. You fall off a lot, but you get the hang of it in the end.
Ajá, pero era la siguiente, pero es okay. If you were paying attention, you know.
Sorry.
That's all right. Do error versus mistake.
Me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Error versus mistake. An error reflects the competence of the learner, whereas a mistake refers to a performance error that is either a random guess or a slip. The second one?
No, it's okay. So, check this out. An error reflects the competence, but an error cannot be corrected. Why? I give an example. Carla, tell me the exact day of the bomb in Hiroshima.
I don't know the exact day.
So you give me so the day that you give me most likely would be incorrect, correct?
Yes.
Why? Does she know or no? Because she doesn't know. That's an error. It's the competence. And you cannot correct. First of all, you cannot be mad at Carla for something that she doesn't know. Secondly, you cannot expect Carla gives a correct answer because she doesn't know. You can correct Carla because she doesn't know. And maybe Josue says, no, teacher, that's too obvious. Yes, but you know what? I've seen teachers assuming students know. And that is a very, very, very bad thing to do as a teacher. Ya sabes, el clásico con el teacher. Okay, guys, today is present perfect. Do you know what present perfect is? O el clásico. This is the formula. Complete the sentence. Espérate, pues, they don't know. Obviously, teachers, paréntesis, ojo. Cuando estén frente a una clase, sobre todo teenagers. If you ask, si no, que ahorita me corrija Isaac. The teacher asks, is there any question? And everybody? No. Is there any question? Yes. Understand? Yes. That doesn't mean that they know. You need to make sure. Okay, but that's parentheses. Okay, so an error, never assume a student knows. Okay, let me repeat it. Never assume a student knows. That's an error. Right? Now, once you have taught something, let's say present perfect, present continuous, whatever it is, vocabulary, whatever the English topic is, once you have taught it, and then you ask students to practice, then they will make mistakes, correct? That's normal. That happens. Actually, that's one of the main things how students learn. Then is when you correct. not before. You first teach, and then you correct. Okay, so mistakes can self-corrected, can be self-corrected. Error cannot be corrected. All right? This is very important, teachers, because really, I've seen it. Sad to say, many teachers assume students know. Don't do that. You're killing the class if you do that. All right. So far so good. All right. So let me play a video. And we're going to listen to Stephen. He's a English teacher, and listen to his techniques of error correction, and then you let me know your opinion about his techniques. Okay. This one. Yes. Okay.
Hello, my name is Stephen Story from MadridTeacher.com, and I'm going to talk about error correction techniques that you can use in a classroom with English students. Hello, my name is Stephen Story from MadridTeacher.com, and I'm going to talk.
Can you listen to him? Okay.
Hello, my name is Stephen Story from MadridTeacher.com, and I'm going to talk a little bit about error correction techniques that you can use in a classroom with English students. The aim of these error correction techniques is to get the students to self-correct, to notice their errors or to remind them of their errors, and sometimes to teach them about what they're doing wrong. Okay? They might make 5, 6 errors in the same sentence, so you always have to make a decision, you know, how many errors to correct, or whether to correct all of them. Okay, you might have, for example, in a sentence like, "Oh, Pablo, what'd you do this weekend?" "Dinner with your wife." Well, you have, you know, they might say dinner with your wife. Well, you have a pronunciation "your wife," and you might have a past simple error, Spanglish error, possessive adjective error. Lack of a subject error, and you have to work your way through this if you want to correct all of them. Okay, you might just come out and you reformulate. You know, no, you had dinner with your wife, and you can do this for the other students in the class, or you can do it for the student. He'll notice the mistakes if he usually makes these mistakes. You can overreact with whose wife? With my wife. It's a bit of humor for the student. You can decide not to understand. You can say, "Excuse me, what?" Give them a look, you know. Ask them to repeat, you know. If it's an ingrained error, you can say, you know, stretch the sentence out a bit. I think it needs to be longer, okay. If there's a third person error, not in this case, you might say, "Hey, third person S," okay. To overdo it, you know. She go to the disco every Friday. She goes, okay. You might repeat the sentence up to the point that you want them to correct, you know. So, dinner with wife, dinner with, you know, something like this. You can use your fingers, finger counting. Dinner with wife, you know, what's this? Possessive adjective. You can point out as possessive adjective. Dinner with my wife, okay, or your wife, my wife, whoever's wife. Well, then, you know, you can point out the Spanglish error. The Spanglish error is, in Spanish, cene, dinner is a verb. But in English it's not, so, or at least dine, you can dine, but not dinner. So, but what's the verb that goes with dinner? Have dinner, or have dinner. But we're talking about the past, yeah? This gesture, the past. Not the future, not the present. You know, use these little gestures to demonstrate what you want them to understand or whatever. So have dinner with. And the subject, I have dinner with. But in the past, I had dinner with. Okay? And you work through these things. Okay? You might say something, I went to the meat market in my car, and the student says, oh, you're a car. Now, why is the student saying this? You know, you're not a car. You might say, I am not a car, I'm a person. And give them a little humor and try to elicit the correct sentence, the correct structure. Well, I think the reason they're using this is because they're regressing to an easier grammar form, or easier structure, because they're not really comfortable, or they're not able to produce actively. They're not able to produce this this present simple structure. So, okay. You are a car. You are a car, but it's a different verb. It's not are. It's you have a car. But what's the question? Do you need a subject? What's the subject? Or excuse me, what's the auxiliary? What's the auxiliary? Do you have a car? Okay, and this is how you can work through it. Okay. If there's a question word, what? Why do you have a car? So you have Aussie, auxiliary, subject, infinitive, auxiliary, do. Subject you, have, infinitive, or quasi, a question word. Do you have a car? Why do you have a car? Okay? They might say something like, you are a teacher. Okay? And you get, no. Are you? Or you say, are you, with the finger counting, are you a teacher? And they might say, no, turn it around. Are you? You are. Or you are. Teacher, and you get them to practice this infinitive thing. You elicit that because in Spanish they don't use these articles, so you get them to practice them because they'll learn them, and then they'll never use them until you practice them for a while. So you can drill this. You know, are you pilot? Are you a pilot? Are you architect? Are you an architect? Engineer? Are you an engineer? And so on. They'll always say, like, not is big, not is not big. And what's the subject? It is not big. And you can drill, it's not, or it isn't, and you aren't, and you're not, and so on. Okay. There are a lot of pronunciation errors you can correct with this thing. You know, Germany, not Germany. It's my money. Obstacles, not obstacles, because in Spanish they say obstáculos. Okay, you can act it up a bit. You can say, "Oh, I'm really sad about my new job," and you can say, "Oh, you're really sad." You can act it up a bit. They say big, small, tall, short, tired, and they might say something like, "My English is short." You can use a song that you've taught them in class, that you've used in class. I don't know much English. Dun, 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 dun. You listed the song. I don't know much. Or they might say people is, and you say people are. People are people. The large road. No, largo. I said no. The long and winding road. And don't be embarrassed by your poor singing skills, because I'm not, and they won't be if they learn something from it. They might say, in pronunciation, they might say coffee. I went to the coffee. It's cafe. A-E, cafe. Cafe, not coffee. Okay? And they might say Jew. Jew, no. It's you know. And, oh, it's very nice. Now, very, you have to demonstrate with your mouth, okay? There. No, there. Okay, there. What do you want to do? No. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? You practice this first, then you show them in writing, you know? Some things are major leagues errors. They might say they want some piles, because in Spanish it's pilas. They want some batteries, so they go to the shitty to buy some piles. That could be a real problem. Okay. Well, thank you for watching, and see you the next time.
Right. So what did you got the point. I mean, what strategy do you like the most? A ver, Diana.
Sure. Sorry, I didn't get what he did with his fingers. I don't know if for my connection, but I think it was interesting, but I couldn't catch it.
It's actually very, very interesting. Show them the finger. Just good. That didn't come out right. No, you assign concepts to your fingers, no? So, for example, do you like pizza? Okay, so you show them, do you like pizza? Entonces, I like pizza. Do you like pizza? So if, for example, I give you a very stupid example. If Juanito Perez is missing, do you like pizza? It only says, like pizza? And you're like, a ver, do you like pizza? Repeat. Do you like it? So Juanito Perez will know that the pinky finger will mean do. So do you like pizza? Okay. Are you so students see it and then relate to it.
It's something like to point how many words they can use.
Not really. For example, I'll give you an example. Juanita Perez, you're teaching you are, very simple. You are, I am, you are. And question, are you? So, a ver, Juanito Perez, you are. Entonces, you are. In question, no, you are a teacher? No, a ver, Juanito Perez. And you go like this. Are you? Okay, are you? Well, was it clear, my example? Probably not. Okay, so I'll give you another example. Are you a teacher? 5 words, right? So if I take this, you are a teacher, right? You are a teacher. But it's a question. So I go this. So are you a teacher? You are a teacher. Are you a teacher? Yes?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we're going to elaborate a little bit more in the topic, okay? What else? What else he said that you liked? A ver, Jesse.
So this dynamic strategy can be used whether beginner students and middle level English students, teacher? Maybe it's a silly question, but or just using with beginner students. Thank you.
Okay. Not just with beginners, Jesse? I mean, it's for everybody. Because you will teach them, different topics according to the level, no? Good. Anyone else? Did you raise your hand, Josue, or I dream?
But what I like is that he was correcting them in I said with some kind of humor also. For example, the first error, he put an example. He asked, "What did you do last night?" So I had a dinner with your wife. So he start talking with the student and that kind of humor, saying that it's not yours, it's mine. So it was interesting that for me, not only correct that you're wrong is not that word. So start to talking with the student and letting know that in this case, the pronoun was incorrect.
Good. Very good. Excellent. All right. Let's move on. So we are going to see some of the techniques that we have to correct our students, okay? These techniques are in a chronological order. See what I mean? We're going to start with this one first, and then if Juanito Perez doesn't know, we move to the next one, and then consequently. See? Okay, so the first technique is start with the question what. Can you read it, Isaac?
Okay. The student will immediately know there's something wrong with the statement she produced and will be open for help.
So when you select Juanito Perez, I a teacher. What? And Juanito Perez like, what? At this point, you need to give him some time for Juanito Perez to answer. But make sure that you say what? So then Juanito Perez will think what was a mistake and what is the correct, right? But what if Juanito Perez doesn't know or is still lost in the space? Whoa. ¿Qué pasó aquí? There you go. We move to the next one. And that's pinpoint error correction. Location, pardon. Read it, Diana.
Pinpoint error location. If your student doesn't realize where the mistake is, try to guide her by repeating the statement yourself and stopping right before the missing wrong word.
For example, I went shopping now. I went shopping what, when? So Juanito Perez, I a teacher. And then you say, what? Wait a couple of seconds. Juanito Perez lost in the space. So you say, okay, Juanito Perez, what? A teacher? But then Juanito Perez is still stupid and lost in the space. So we move to the next one. Then we use fingers, like Steven said. Right? Can you read it, Josue?
Use fingers in the event that your student is still confusing, forgetting a certain word, order or tense. Use your fingers to show them the right syntax or missing extra word they need in their statement.
So by that time, you went with what? He didn't know. Then you went, what? He didn't know. So you go, missing a teacher, pardon. So and you go like this, what? So he needs to refer to the missing word. In other words, show him the finger. That didn't come out right. So, okay. All right, but then Juanito Perez still is stupid. He doesn't know. So we move, before that, wait. Here and fingers and multiple choice. Between these ones, there was another one called peer correction. Peer correction, como peer de pares, no de pera. P-E-E-R, peer correction. Because of the bullying thing, we were forced to delete it. It's not part of the program anymore, but I'll tell you what it is. You can actually Google it, and there's 1.5 million different pages about it. peer correction is like, a ver, Juanito Pérez. A ver, Carla. What is the answer? En Carla ya sabes, la sabes no todo, acá la nerd, ¿no? Thank you, teacher. I am a teacher. So it might seem okay. The problem is that we live in a crystal generation, right? So it's considered bullying. Might be considered bullying because of you know. Well, I guess they're just crystal people. You know, I just can't really understand them because I was totally raised in a totally different way. But we respect, right, the problem. So especially with secundaria, no, they are really they're mean. ¿Sabes? They could be mean, así de que yo maestro, pick me, Juanito no sabe, pick me. All right, just be careful with that. If you know your students, if you know your group, that's okay. You can Google it, peer correction, and English classrooms, on English classes, and there are lots of techniques, but it always says that it's controversial. Just be careful with that. Okay? So then Juanito Perez still stupid. So then we move to the multiple choice technique. Can you read this? Who's here? Yes, sí.
Provide multiple choice. This is an option for semi-modeling the right answer. Once you've tried the previous techniques and your student doesn't seem to self-correct, provide an easy, logical multiple choice question to activate your student's memory.
Example?
Okay. Example, student. I am an engineer. Teacher, A or am?
Very good. So
Thank you.
this is like multiple choice, exaggerating the answer, the correct answer, no? For example, student, I am an engineer. So then Jesse is like, what? And the student like, what? Okay, a ver, Juanito Perez, I am what? Engineer? And Juanito is toss in space. So then you go fingers. I am, you are, Juanito Perez. Juanito Perez is, you know, totally lost in the space. Then you go, a ver, Juanito Perez. A or an? And with a zape, ¿no? Para que se le registre. Right? But guess what? Juanito Perez didn't have his sucaritas in the morning, so he's lost in the space. So then we move to the last resource. I repeat, the last resource. This is the last option. And it's modeling. Okay, what is modeling? Read it, Diana.
Model. After you have gone through all the correction techniques explained before, and your student still fails to understand his or her mistake, provide a straightforward correction and have him integrate these words to the statement.
Continue. Continue.
Second one?
Yeah, continue.
Okay, sorry. This should be your last resort. Example, student, she works at home. Teacher, she works at home. Repeat.
Okay, I'm sorry, there's a mistake. This should be your last resource. I'm sorry, change that, it's a resource. Resort, I was thinking in vacations maybe. Anyways, first resource. Okay, so modeling is after, look at what it says, after you've gone through all the techniques And still Juanito Perez lost in the space, then you go and provide a straightforward. What is a straightforward? Can you think in a synonym for a straightforward? No? How about a strong? A strong answer, a firm answer, a direct answer. Okay? To integrate the correction, we have an example. She work at home. So you go like this, sape, and then you say, she works at home. Repeat. But again, this is your last resource, teachers. You went through the what, the fingers, the multiple choice. But if Juanito Perez is lost in the space, then you model. In other words, modeling is giving or providing the answer to the students. This is your last resource. Why? Why do you think you shouldn't do this unless you can't do anything else? Or I mean, unless you have done everything else, but it didn't work. Josue.
Well, I think because it's really helpful for them to think and to understand why they have to answer that or that kind.
Very good. You make them slackers. You understand slackers? Lazy. So ahorita me traduce, ahorita me dice el miss, la miss o el profe. Y hasta te dice, no, miss, ¿cómo era? No, teachers, no model. And sad to say, and this is the point of my opening in the topic, sad to say teachers start with this technique because it's the easiest. Don't do that, teachers. That's not teaching. That's only, I don't know what it is, but it's not teaching. If you really want your students to learn, make them think. Make them think that they can speak English. And given the answer is only your last resource because it doesn't solve anything. Do you really think if you give them the answer, the students will remember? No, teachers. Allá me dijo la misa allá. Minuto después they forgot. I promise that. But if you make them think, if you make them look in their brain and get the answer, they will remember. Okay? All righty, let's move on. So far so good? Questions? So conclusions, can you read Carla?
Yes. Some teachers correct every mistake made by their students. Other teachers rarely or never correct their students' mistakes. Both approaches have serious weaknesses. The first one leads to students' nervousness and, as a consequence, lack of fluency. The second one leads to students to speak, but whose English is hard to understand.
Very good. So some teachers look for every little detail. Other don't look for anything. Both are incorrect. The first one is the one that is holiday. Students will like, do you think students will like or be keen to participate? No. A ver quién quiere contestar. Y todos. Or if a teacher doesn't look for mistakes, then everyone will participate in, I don't know what language, but English, no. Okay, so what is the what is the balance? Let's read number one. The first point, Carla.
When a student makes a mistake, it is usually counterproductive to say, no, that's wrong. Are you serious? How long did you say you have been studying English? etc. It's often kinder to say, not bad, nearly, good try. That's an interesting mistake, etc.
Very good. So, are you serious, Isaac? Really? You've been in the federal with like 1 year. Do you think it's correct to say that for me as a teacher? It's probably right? But it's not correct. Instead, I would use something like, okay, Isaac, I like your effort and enthusiasm. Not bad, but you can blah, 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 blah. Number 2 point, Diana.
Some say that you shouldn't laugh at a student's mistakes, but it sometimes breaks the mistakes taboo and makes linguistic risks and disasters an acceptable part of the classroom culture.
Very good. So, you shouldn't laugh at your students' mistakes. Guess what? In my experience, me, Gerson, laughing in the classroom makes the atmosphere relax. And then everybody will feel more comfortable with laughing. Now, laughing is not making fun of it. It's a whole different. All right, so just check the balance, and like a Steven in the video, no? Your money, my money, and your wife, my wife. Oh, and you're laughing. You make it's a joke. But not being sarcastic, that's a whole different story. But if you laugh or you make your atmosphere relaxed, students will feel more like to participate. Mm-hmm. Number 3 point is Isaac.
Okay. The ability to correct themselves when they make a mistake is an important one of the students to develop. Encourage it and give them time to correct themselves.
Very good. So you again give them time, challenge and motivate them for find the answer. Not give the answer. Josue, next one.
Once they've done the correction, have students repeat the statement again in order to integrate the correction to their learning process. This last step is very important.
Very good. You give a feedback. A ver, Jessie. And Jessie corrects, and then what, and blah, blah, blah. And she finally corrects. Very good. So, Jessie, repeat. Jessie repeats, and that's her feedback. Okay. Next one, Diana.
It's much better for the students if they get into the habit of listening to themselves when they are speaking and correct themselves as they go along. Obviously, they won't be able to correct all the mistakes they make, but they will be able to correct a lot of them.
If you have as a teacher, if you can, ask the students to once in a while, maybe once a month, do a speaking activity, recording themselves, and then listening, have them listen to themselves. Okay, that's very helpful. Jessie?
Teacher, this technique also apply for pronunciation. For example, I have the idea, when someone told me that never correct how someone pronounce the words. This technique also applies for not correcting pronunciations or
Yeah,
yeah.
yes and no. Let me explain. I've heard teachers, trainers saying that you shouldn't correct pronunciation, and the fundamental is that the argument is that all accents are correct. I understand that. I actually agree with that. I'm Mexican. Yeah, I can change that. I mean, I'm extremely sexy, but my English is Mexican, right? My accent is Mexican. However, there are levels. Okay, there are levels in based in two things. Number one, the program that you're using. If you're using a program that is British, for example, then your pronunciation should be, not yours, but the student's pronunciation should be at least close enough to British. Okay? If it's an American program, same thing, right? Secondly, the place that you live, it does influence. If you go and look for I don't know, a BBC channel or something, news from London, and then listen to there's some anchormen that are Hindu, right? They speak English. They speak very funny because of their accent, but their pronunciation is close to British pronunciation. We live in Mexico. What is our closest accent? United States, right? American pronunciation. So my point of view and my experience, Jesse, is yes, I've heard teachers saying don't correct pronunciation because of the accents all are equally important, blah, blah. Okay, that's okay. I understand. I actually pro on it. But still, there are levels. If you see that Juanito Perez is, I don't know, I am a teacher. Well, then you know, at least try to help them to do a better pronunciation according to the program and to the location. Okay, that's answering your first question. Your second question is yes. For that, it's very good that they record. You would do more oftenly is the activities for recording themselves, a video, TikTok or audio, whatever, even a WhatsApp audio, you know, but they will listen to it. All right, cool. Everyone else? Yes. The last point, Diana.
As far as possible, correct mistakes anonymously. Do this by making notes of student mistakes as you monitor them, putting them on the board later. Depends of the type of drill.
Very good. So if it's possible, because of the bullying, yo era bien manchado, después me regañaba. Anyways, because of the bullying, try to make it anonymously. Right? If you can. What I did is I had in the board every day, or on a cardboard, I had the students' names, or students' names and a happy face and sad face. Or if it's a conversation activity, I will write on the board the missing words or the mistakes, right? Then at the end, I will go over all the mistakes. And then the students, without saying names, okay? And then the student that made a mistake, are like, así era. So you didn't need to say his name. As much as you can, right? Just, my point is, don't be sarcastic. If you have to say the name, but it's is find the balance between correcting and making fun of it. Right? Good. All right. Questions? No questions? All right, very good. Who is teaching and now? Who's currently teaching? I know Jesse is your teacher, right? Little children?
What teacher, could you repeat, please? Again?
Who's currently teaching? Who's currently in front of a group?
Well, me.
To you, right? You're teaching little children.
Yeah, working with children. But
Okay.
let me tell you something, just not right now, no this time. But I've been working with the children and teenagers and university students.
Okay. But you're not currently teaching right now.
No, not right now.
Yeah, I know Carla is. I know Diana is. Hepsi is too. I know Isaac too. All right, well, for homework, I'm going to ask you, the ones that are in front of a group, try these techniques in your group. Okay, let's start with the what, the finger, blah, blah. The last resource is the modeling. And then you give me your feedback in front of the class next week. Así de tipo, Carla, ¿no? Ay, es que sí, no, hombre, estuvo bien padre y no, y acá y todo, así chido. Okay? The ones that are not teaching, like Jesse and Josue, send me a private message so you can observe a class. And observing the class, observe how the teacher does the corrections. And then you give me your feedback. The feedback could be good or bad, eh? That's okay. That's actually how you learned. No, es que la Miss Fulana no lo hizo bien por esto y esto hizo. That's okay. That's acceptable. All right. So what's homework, Carla?
To do the correction, like all that we saw. First the what and the other one, and the final, the, ¿cómo se llamaba?
Modeling.
Yeah, the last one.
Very good. Very good Spanish. Thank you, Carla. It's excellent. All right. Okay, so that's homework for that's for the topic today, or this topic, and let's move on for the another one. Excuse me. You want to take a pee break? It's 11:20, so we'll meet back here at 11:35. All right, so I'll see you here in 15 minutes. I'll leave the session open. Thank you, guys. Okay, guys. Yes. Pretty good, pretty good. Alrighty. Perfect. All right. So let's move on. Okay, Carla. Are you working today from 2 to 4?
2 to 4? No.
Can you take a class just to cover for a teacher? It's a regulación class. It's easy, basic. You can even speak Spanish if you want to.
Nada más que esa hora no creo poder porque tengo una más tarde.
Okay.
Sí, se me va a complicar.
Okay, no worries not. Jessy, ¿cómo andas tú de chamba 2 a 4 hoy?
Libre, teacher. Sí.
¿Sí? ¿Puedes tomar una clase? ¿Alguien dar una clase? Pero no es una clase, es regularización. Basic levels.
¿Por vía Zoom?
Sí, todos son.
Ok. ¿Qué están? Bueno, ¿me da detalles ahorita?
Ahorita te va a pasar le voy a pasar tu teléfono a Alejandro. Se apellida Núñez.
Sí, ok.
Él
Sí,
es
claro que sí, con todo gusto.
Gracias.
De nada.
Regularización. Creo que Olivia no estará. Ok, va. Entonces te pasan los detalles. Very good, very good. Okay. You have a nice day too, Diana. No worries. Let me
Thank you, teacher.
open the other file. This one is pretty cool. This topic, because it's like the cocoa for English teachers. Let me explain why. You have, and this is very, very interesting. You have English. O sea, digamos, you have segundo A, de secundaria English at 7 in the morning, right? So then you walk out of the classroom, porque de 7 a 8 your class was chaos, anarchy, terrorism, and then you almost walk out of the classroom crying in a fetal position. And then the mathematics teacher walks into classroom, mismo segundo A, segundo B, at 8 o'clock, mismo grupo, but everybody is quiet, sitting and doing their activities. Have you seen that? I know Jessica has. I've seen it many times. I'm like, oh my God. And then you feel te mal viajas, no? Because you feel frustrated. You start wandering off and like, oh, and if I am worthless. I suck as a teacher. And no, it's not you. But for some reason, English teachers suffer from that. It's like como su pata de palo. It's the thing that English teachers suffer from, the discipline, or let me put it this way, the indiscipline in the classroom, whether it's physical or whether it's in Zoom. It's the same thing. En Zoom, pues nada más porque no los oyes, ¿verdad? Pero tampoco te pelan. So it's, what can you do? So we're going to see some techniques first of all, we're going to see the problem and the solution, and then the techniques to counteract indiscipline. Okay? Parenthesis, what I'm telling you, it was part of my job, okay? And then it happened to me something very interesting, guys. Te hablo hace 20 años, eh? I used to teach for Tec de Monterrey, secundaria, and I taught Spanish and English, okay? No español, lengua y comunicación, algo así, in English, okay? So I taught from 7 to 8 English, and then 8 to 9 Spanish, okay? Same group. And it was like that, 7 to 8, chaos, anarchy, terrorism. Then at 8 o'clock, everyone is quiet. And I'm like, I'm the same freaking teacher. You know, you're the same group. What is the difference? Then it took me several years to understand why. So I'll share it with you, okay? So first again, so today's topic is classroom and group control, or I like to call it el coco for English teachers. All right. So yes, this is going to be one you, Diana, at one point of your life, I promise. And so can you read this, Josué?
Introduction. Keeping our students focused and interested in their class, as well as maintaining a good pace in a given lesson, can be very difficult sometimes for most of us as teachers. It takes one element to knock a flowing lesson out of control.
Yes, you have your class in your mind. You have your class like super cool, well organized, and then something happened. Se fue la luz, se fue el internet. I don't know, something happened, and there goes your class. So maintaining the class is a whole different story for us as teachers. So losing control typically happens because, continue reading, Jessica.
Losing class control typically happens because something, can you hear me?
Yes. ¿Qué? No, es cierto.
Something in the lesson plan doesn't speak to the students. Some areas of the classroom management plan need reinforcing.
Very good. Something in the lesson plan doesn't speak. In other words, el típico y clásico, Miss, ese ya lo vimos. It happened to you? Or have you seen that in your classroom? Profe, ese ya lo vimos ayer. If that happens to you, don't even try to gain control of your class. Your class has been ruined. Simple as that. Or the típico y clásico, Miss, no te preparaste, ¿verdad? O profe, y profe no sabe, profe. Then your class is ruined. So we're going to see some techniques in order to prevent that, okay? The first premise that you need to understand is the last sentence in the slide. Teachers' preparation influences 80% in indiscipline. I repeat, teachers' preparation influences 80% of indiscipline. What does it mean? I went to a seminar many years ago about indiscipline, and this is what they say. 80% of indiscipline in the classroom is your fault. And moreover, is preparation's fault. You are not prepared enough. And I was like, nah. But yes, it's true. If you are not prepared enough with the lesson plan that we just checked a couple of weeks ago, with the grammar presentation, with the drills, with the communicative activities, with readings, with listenings. In other words, if you have free time in your class, if you don't have enough activities in your classroom, if you don't are well prepared in your classroom, 80% of the indiscipline is your fault. So I raised my hand. No me pelaron. Someone else raised their hand and said, so what about the other 20%? So the speaker said, 20%, check it out. 10% is the institution problem. So in other words, the other percentage is out of your hand. 10% is the institution problem. And we say, how? I'll give you an example. Have you seen groups or have you taught a group of 7 in the morning? They are well behaved because they're all sleepy. Okay, now, have you taught an English class at the end of the class, at the end of the day? Let's say at 1 in the afternoon. It's chaotic. They don't even pay attention to you. Even worse, right after recess. Yes, all popped up in sugar, sweaty, smelly. So yes, it's a problem. It's a factor that influences only the 10% of the indiscipline. And some other schools, and especially in the so-called rich private schools, also the institution have a problem because they're more for the money. Okay, let me put it this way. When I was working for the Tec de Monterrey, my first 2 years was so frustrating because I have reports of students being aggressive to me, and they didn't do anything because it's a lot of money, right? So it's 10% of a discipline institution. The other 10% is students' problem, but a problem that is out of your hand. I give you an example. Have you seen hyperactive students? Ojo, no inquietos, Hiperactivos, a whole different story. It's a mental disorder. If you have 1 or 2 in your classroom, my condolences. Let me put it this way. You can't do anything about it. You're not a psychiatrist. First of all, he or she shouldn't be in your class. They need a special class. But we're in Mexico, and that's a whole different story, blah, blah, blah. Because in a first world country, they will sue the school if they accept hyperact. They need to have a special class. Mexico doesn't happen. So you will need to cope with it. Or, for example, the children that are going through parents' divorce. They need attention. And you know how they get attention, or that, how they try to get attention? By being a pain in the butt. He actually, the speaker said, there is no such thing as problem child. He's just a victim. Parents being divorced, maybe physically abused, maybe verbally abused, something that is happening in their house, and they reflect that in the classroom. But that's only 10%. 80% of the indiscipline is your fault. 10% the institution, something that you can control, and 10% of the a particular situation of a student, which you can't control either. Okay, so let's focus on the 80% that we can control. All right? All right. So let's talk about the technique. So first, again, questions? All right. So techniques to gain and maintain class control. Number 1 category, your reputation for effort, flexibility, and availability. Read the first point, Isaac.
Learn your students' names.
And Isaac is like, duh, teacher, is too obvious. Yes, but it does make the difference, teachers. A ver, tú la que está junto a Diego. ¿Cómo se va a sentir la niña? She's gonna feel bad, right? Y si se siente mal, te va a agarrar tirria. Y si te agarra tirria, ya se arruinó tu clase. So learn your names. I mean, you know, the students' names. Easy as that. If you refer to a student with his or her name, it does make a difference because that student will feel important to you. And when that happens, they respect you. All right. Number 2. Jesse.
Be punctual.
Very good. Not like teacher Gerson. But be on time. If your class is at 2, start at 2. If your class is at 1, and so forth. It does make a difference. Number 3 is Josué.
Show up after hours to encourage them, but avoid one-on-one sessions.
So you need to be, students need to feel that you are approachable. You understand that word approachable? That they feel trust and confident to get close to you and ask you questions. Avoid one-on-one sessions. This is new. It's not recommendable and you know, nowadays to have private sessions. Why? Josué?
Maybe to avoid misunderstandings.
Very good. You know, you will develop a crush or the teacher's pet, or can even go further, no, and get worse. So no, avoid that. No need to do that. You're the teacher, yes, but not mommy or daddy. Okay. Next one, Carla.
Backup plan in case your visual aids break.
Yes, you have a very cool PowerPoint presentation for your Zoom class, and then you forgot or you lost or it's deleted. And you're like, oh my God. ¿Qué vas a hacer? ¿Free class? In the moment that you say free class, your class is ruined. In the moment that you improvise, your class is ruined. Okay? So no. You always have a backup plan. Like in that happens to me a lot in the past. Normally, a school has 1 or 2 projectors, yes or no? If you work for a very, very fancy school, they have projectors in every classroom. But normally they will have 2 or 3 for the whole school. So you need to book or reserve the projector. And for some reason, teachers Even though you have reserved the projector, pero el profesor de español, como está haciendo sus cursos de oratoria, te lo quitan. Or because the math teacher is having his feria del conocimiento, como se llama, te lo quitan. Y me pasaba cada rato que I had my class very cool prepared, pair work and activities, show up for picking up the projector. Ay, profesor, se lo llevó el profesor de matemáticas. Llegó un momento que dije, pásame un balón de fútbol y ahorita me pongo a jugar con ellos. But you shouldn't do that, right? Always have a plan B for your classes. Last one, but not least one, Yesi.
Involve your students in the decision-making process. Encourage them to speak out whenever you notice some sort of strange behavior, such as watching at the clock all the time or showing bored faces.
Yeah, you need to determine if something is happening that is extraordinary. I'll give an example. You have, this happens in the physical classroom. Las famosas kermeses, ¿no? Es a la 1 y tu clase es de 12 a 1. ¿Qué va a pasar a las 12:40? Isaac.
Sí, todos los estudiantes ya van a estar fuera de la clase, en su cabeza.
Nadie te va a pelar. Entonces, ¿para qué te desgastas? Ok, guys. Guarden sus cuadernos, vamos a hacer tiempo, platican un chiste. Because nobody's going to pay attention to you anymore. You need to determine, this is valid. If everyone is watching the clock or everyone is bored or something is, so you know that something is happening, right? Out of the extraordinary. So you take the decision if you must continue or not, because if you continue and you know that they're not going to pay attention to you, there will be indiscipline in the classroom. Okay, good. Number two category, your reputation for firmness and fairness. Number one, Josue.
Explain why you've asked the class to do various things.
This is very important, teachers. Don't be like the collect teacher. A ver, Isaac, 10 sentences of present continuous. And Isaac, ¿por qué? Porque yo lo digo. Because I'm the teacher. Don't do that. Isaac will do it because he's a student and you're the teacher. But guess what? Isaac is going to hate you and hate the class. Therefore, he's not going to learn English. So give and explain. Now, you don't need to give the whole cátedra, the whole choro. Simple as that. Isaac, please 10 sentences and present continuous because we need to practice. Or because you need to write and practice the verbs. I don't know. Short explanations, it will help you out. Give me 1 second. I need to answer this. Sorry, my wife. If I don't answer, oof. ¿Cómo está el TikTok? Ya sé que nunca. Sorry, my job. Anyways, I lost the track. So, yes. So, short answers, short explanation, but then your students will know and feel that they are part of the class because you give them an explanation. See the difference between just saying, because I'm the teacher? All right, number 2, Isaac.
When there's something unacceptable about the classroom, don't tolerate it.
Very good. If your policy is no cell phones in the classroom, who set this example? The teacher, no cell phones. Yo por eso nunca pongo ese tipo de reglas. Vale? That's a whole different story. If your policy is no cell phones, you put the example. You set the example, right? If you say no eating in the classroom, pues you don't eat. If someone eats and for some reason you give them the chance of eating, what would happen the next class? You see?
The rest of the students will ask you for the same.
Yes. And if you wait 2-3 classes, hasta pizza van a llevar. So no, if you say no, it's no, period. ¿Sale? Very good. Next one, yourself, Jesse.
Try to keep as relaxed a classroom atmosphere as possible. Foster free communication without being disruptive.
So how you keep an atmosphere relaxed? When do you start, or when does the atmosphere start to be relaxed? With whom? Josue?
Be with the teacher. The teacher should be relaxed at the classroom.
Excellent. If you walk into the classroom all grumpy and grunchy because Josué se peleó con la novia porque le dijo no sé qué y ya se metió al salón, abran sus libros y viene todo malvibroso, ¿qué va a pasar? With the students. The same thing. It's contagious. If you yawn, this is very interesting. If you yawn, you understand yawn? That's yawn. If you yawn, what happens to somebody else that is watching you? They copy, they yawn with you, right? Same thing, if you walk into the classroom with a bad vibe, the students will feel it and notice it. So leave, please, teachers, leave your problems outside. I don't say that you won't have any problems because no, that doesn't happen. That's an utopia. Doesn't exist. You will have problems. My personal view is situations. Porque si les digo problemas, me doy en la torre. ¿Cómo se dice en español? I don't even know English. I get overwhelmed. I get frustrated. For me, it's a situation. A situation that is not permanent and is temporary. But before going to the classroom, yo hago toda una rutina. I imagine that there is a rack. You understand rack? Like a wall group. Se ponía, es como un tubo que tiene ganchos. Que cuando entra a una casa se quitan el sombrero y la sombrilla. No sé ni cómo se llama en español, but anyways, in English is rack. So you have a rack. I imagine that in my door there's a rack. And I, in my mind, take off all my problems and put it there. And then I walk into the classroom all empowered, problem-free, situation-free, and give my class. Because likewise, if you having a bad vibe, if you having a good vibe, then your class it becomes relaxed. The atmosphere becomes relaxed. Okay? Very important, teachers. Your mood, let me pay attention to this. Your emotional situation many times set the difference in the atmosphere if it's indiscipline or discipline. So if Carla got a fight with her boyfriend y ya se peleó con la mamá y bueno, se hizo un merequetengue, what's going to happen in her class if she manages to forget the problems for a moment? Your class will not be affected, would it? Right? It requires a lot, teachers. I'm serious. It requires a lot. I've had situations that are really, really bad. But my suggestion, if it's something that you can handle, it's better if you ask that somebody covers for you as much as you can. Okay, as much as you can, because we need money, because blah 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 blah. It's a whole different story. But try to manage it. Se llama en psicología, busquen un ancla. Mi ancla es esa cosa que se llama el rack. And I picture it in the door. Ya me lo quito y entro y mira. Okay? Very important, very good. Now, the last one is Isaac.
Wait a minute, because I can't see it. It's
Oh,
about
it says-
sarcasm, shooting, or
No, the one before.
okay. Recognize good behavior and effort.
Continue.
Avoid sarcasm, shooting, or comparing.
Very good. Recognize. Repeat, recognize. And there's sarcasm.
Sarcasm.
Very good. Okay, so good behavior always needs to be recognized. Así de que, ay, Juanito Pérez, te portaste muy bien, qué bueno. Thank you very much for paying attention, guys. Así. Avoid sarcasm. I'm very sarcastic. My humor, mi esposa nunca me aguanta. Because I'm really sarcastic. Don't do that. Así de, ay, Juanito, hasta aquí está la tarea. Creo que va a llover, déjame ver la ventana. Right? Don't do that. I mean, that's hurtful. Ahorita traigo a mi hija más chica de bajada porque le hicieron unos rayos de güeros y le digo, el barrio te respalda. Y se enoja. Y mi esposa, déjala. But that's my humor, right? Don't do that in the classroom. Because it does affect, right? Shouting. No, don't shout. Raise your voice. That is correct. Raise your voice. Juanito Perez, please don't do that. That's okay. Shouting is Juanito Perez, son of a mother. That's a whole different story. Don't shout. That could even be legal. You know, you can have you get into trouble. And then comparing, geez, this is very, very common. Don't do that. Ay, Juanito Pérez, ¿por qué no eres como tu hermana del año pasado que la tuve bien portadita? Don't do that, really. That really, really kills the student's self-esteem. Everyone is unique. Así como les digo, ¿no? En este mismo tema. ¿Te gustaría? Would you like, Carla, that your boyfriend will tell you, your boyfriend will tell you, ay, es que mi antigua novia me hacía de comer. No, hombre, le cortas ahí todo lo cortable, ¿no? Same happens in the classroom, right? Don't compare. Everyone is an individual. All right, so far so good? Your knowledge of the content, very important. José, number one.
Your students will notice this on the basis of your ability to answer the questions. Continue.
Yes, please.
How you handle the questions. If one student asks, many students are wondering, so don't leave questions for the end.
Thank you. Students notice. Ah, teacher no sabe. Y mis no sabe. Y no pudo. So no. Again, the ability of your knowledge. And this is shown by how you handle the question. If everyone asks a question, then everybody has the same question. So answer the question. If you don't know the answer, ojo, if you don't know the answer, number one, don't improvise. That's even worse. Secondly, there is nothing wrong to say, I don't know. You know what, Juanito Perez, that's a good question. Let me check it out and tomorrow I'll give you the answer. Pero cúmplelo. In the afternoon or in the night, do your research, and then on the next day you answer the question. Then you gain respect. Okay? If you are offered to teach a class that you don't know, okay, teach a class that you don't know, I can't tell you not to take it because, como dice Franco Escamilla, tenemos esa cosa horrible que se llama hambre, right? But if you do accept to teach a class that you don't master or that you don't know, then make sure that before walking into the first class, you at least master that first class. Okay? And make sure that you are going to, that you know that you're getting to. That means that that requires double time of preparation, double material of researching, etc. In Tec de Monterrey, there is a program called bicultural, no sé qué. Anyways, es para que los que ya están más avanzados, ya no hay más avanzados de inglés, les ponen otro que es literatura, literature. Okay, I taught that 1 year or 2 years. 1 year, the first year, tenía 2 Koreans, 1 American, 1 British girl, and 2 Mexicans. 7 in my class. 6 in my class. Worst class ever in the whole year. O sea, malo para tu self-esteem. First of all, social life disappeared because of weekends I had to study. Secondly, I need to teach English to a British girl. I mean, what are the odds? So yes, I mean, I finally did it for 2 years because it paid very good. It paid like 400 pesos the hour. So dije, bueno, pues está bien. Me compré un carro de ahí. I'm still in therapy. Right? So make sure that you master whatever you're going to teach. Number 2. Excuse me, Carla.
Request for clarification. Invite students to give it a try first in case the question seems too basic for the level.
Very good. If we check it in the last topic, right? If there is a question, we'll give them time to answer themselves. The last one is Jesse.
Off-topic questions. Provide a brief answer depending on the situation. Don't be afraid of resorting to your college in case you don't know the answer.
Very good. In other words, determine if the question that you've been asked, even though it's not related to the topic, is a genuine question. That's the key. And by that I mean that the student is really interested in knowing the answer or the student is only wants to lose time. Okay, there are two different things. No va a faltar el pen in the butt. Así de, profe, explíquenos por qué esto y esto. Y tú ya sabes que no lo hace por... So you move on. But if Juanita Perez, who is always really well dedicated and almost nerd like Carla, and she's like, profe, Miss, es que yo ayer vi en The Big Bang Theory que Sheldon dijo, bla, 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 bla. ¿Me puede explicar? If you can answer it. So Juanita Perez and the students will respect you because it's a genuine question. Okay? Determine if it's for interest, for to knowing the answer or just wasting time. All right? Good. So far so good? Then keeping the students focused and wanting to learn. Number one, Isaac.
The teacher must be able to explain the content clearly.
Very good. The teacher must be able to explain the content clearly. Simple as that. Right? We discussed it a moment ago. Next one, Josué.
For adult learners, use words such as why, because, and you.
Very good. I would go beyond this premise and I say for every learner. Okay? Use why, because, give a short explanation. In other words, be respectful in your petitions. Okay? Number 3, Carla.
Involve your students in the topic. Avoid repeating only what the textbook says.
Continue. Example.
Yeah. Ask questions. Example, what is A? Who has been to?
Very good. In other words, involve your students in the topic, not just walk into the classroom, copy this, copy that. No. Make them feel part of the instruction, part of the class. If you're talking about, for example, if you're talking about, I don't know, Las Vegas. Hey, who has been in Las Vegas? Nobody. Okay. Who has been to a casino? You're getting involved in the conversation. Number 1, 2, 3, 4. Josué.
Bring students to the front of the room whenever you have a chance.
Yes, class presentation, and Zoom or online, you can do that, right? It's the same thing. You let them share the screen, is the same thing. Next one is the Jessie.
If you have a highly capable student who attempts to dominate the classroom, invite him to be your assistant for the day.
Very good. If you have a highly capable, in other words, if you have a nerd in the classroom, that's good and that's bad. Típico así de, pick me, me teacher, miss, yo acá, miss. So then invite them to be your assistant. In other words, keep them busy. That is the solution for them. Keep them busy. A ver, Juanito Pérez, mira, vamos a hacer un trato. Doy la clase y me ayudas a checar las oraciones de los alumnos y te dejo sin tarea. Neta, miss. Ups, ¿sí puedo? No, hombre, aquel se pone hasta en su papel, ¿no? A ver, repeat again, I need to check. Lo que no sabe Juanito Pérez es, number one, te quitaste un peso de encima. Number two, you keep them busy. And number three, checking students is even more work than homework. Keep them busy, give them important. They only want attention. Give it attention. Okay? So far so good? Am I going too fast? It's okay. Okay, good. Carla, next, last one.
Your exam questions and your handout style agrees with your lectures, students will pay more attention in class.
The magic words. The magic words. A ver, guys, pay attention because it's going to be in the exam. What happens in that class? Would they be walking around, interrupting you? No, because it's going to be in the exam. So what if your students know that everything that is being said in the class or everything that is being taught in the class is in the exam? Your students will pay more attention to you. Right? Good. I had this in Monterrey, a colleague. His name is Sapida Wagner, is a German guy. Ross, no. Bueno, Sapida Wagner. I can't remember now. Le decíamos el freaking Nazi. Anyways, that's a whole different story. He had no indiscipline, very little indiscipline. You know what he did? Every Friday, he had a quiz. Okay? Every Friday, a short quiz. 5 questions, 6 questions from whatever he taught during the week. ¿Sale? Cada 2 meses hacíamos examen. So in the midterm exam, ¿saben qué hacía? Agarraba una pregunta del quiz y lo ponía en el examen. So the exam was part of the quizzes. ¿Ok? No les dijo nada a los alumnos, no faltó el que dijo, oh, ya viste, son las preguntas del quiz, sí, cierto, y se pasó la voz. That was the key for indiscipline. Because number one, they were paying attention. They were paying attention to their class during the week to answer the quiz correctly. Then they will memorize the quiz and then answer the exam. Find techniques. Find techniques and it will help you. Okay, good. Responding forcefully and fairly to challenges to your authority. Jessica, number 1.
You handle challenges by making the challenger appear silly in front of his or her peers.
Tipo así de Juanito Pérez, to the teacher, no, profe, así no es. Y tú así de, muy salsa. But you don't say that, right? Pues okay, interesting your argument. Can you tell us and explain, please? Can you illuminate us from your great wisdom? Y como dice el mexicano, que se eche la soga al cuello. In other words, teachers, when there is a challenge to your authority, teachers, pay attention to me, never, ever get mad. Never get offended because it's not personal. They're stupid. That's a whole different story. But you're different than them. Y como dicen los niños, ¿a que se enoja? Never get offended. Never get mad. ¿A poco no es así, Juanito Pérez? No, chichi, así no es, profe. Ah, okay. I'm interested to see what you have to say. Stand up and tell us. ¿Cómo es el TikTok de ahora? Sencillito, respiro. ¿Cómo es, Carla? A ver, Carla sí lo sabe.
Ay, sí lo he escuchado, pero no me acuerdo cómo va.
Sencillito, respiro y hago así nomás. Right? El que se enoja pierde. Don't take it personal. Right? Good. Number 2, Josué.
Anticipated questions and complaints.
Very, very important. Remember in the grammar analysis, a whole column, a whole category was possible questions from your students. When you anticipate the questions and complaints, your challenges to your authority will be less. Number 3, Jesse.
If the students point out that your lecture is redundant, have a second lesson plan in reserve if it's reasonable.
Reasonable, very good. In other words, Nis, ya lo vimos ayer. Y abres tu cuaderno y chin, sí, cierto. Porque Jessie pues estuvo muy ocupada con el novio acá despidiéndose y se le olvidó que ya había visto esa clase. So if it's true, have a plan B and change it. In other words, if it's reasonable, listen to your students' complaints. Only if it's reasonable. If it's reasonable, y tú te amachas, what would happen? Miss, es que se lo vimos ayer. Sí, cierto. No importa. Para que practiquemos. ¿Qué va a pasar, Isaac? Your expression tell me everything. That's your expression is going to be the same expression as the student. Así tú. Ahí nos vemos. Okay? So, if it's reasonable, pay attention to your students. Number 4, Carla.
If a student is persistently noisy, point out that most of his classmates want to learn, and he's interfering with this.
Good. A ver, Josué, you speak too much. ¿Me das chance de seguir dando clases? ¿Me das chance de seguir instruyendo a los compañeros? ¿Podrías, por favor, darle chance a tus compañeros de escuchar? I'm being sarcastic, yes. ¿Qué creen que va a decir los demás alumnos? Ya, Josué, cállate. Problem solved. Check the premise. If a student is persistently noisy. O sea, yo ya estoy contestando a Josué que está. All right? So remember the levels. I'm not mad. Never get mad. I'm just giving the importance to the rest of the students and to my class. All right, good. Dealing with hecklers. Hecklers, in when the word means that have you played football before or you seen football, American football? Que no se dice American football, nunca vayan a decir una gringa American football. Es fútbol nada más. Have you seen football? You know, like the throwing ball and blah, blah, blah. The ones in the front line are hecklers. They break, they stop, they block. Okay, let's go with this one. In the classroom, these guys are the worst. These guys want to block your teaching. All right? Can you read the first point to see who who they are. Can you read it, Josue?
At the adult level, these are people who have chosen to believe lies that make them feel morally and intellectually superior.
Yes. They feel like they know everything. They feel like, yo soy Chilangolandia. Es que yo estuve en Estados Unidos. Cuando fui a Inglaterra a un intercambio, and they feel like they're, okay, paréntesis, Por ejemplo, el ejemplo de que fue a Inglaterra a un intercambio, que bueno, if it's genuine and if it's well tended, ¿no? He will share his experiences. But sometimes they do it because they believe they're superior to you. Okay, continue reading, Josue.
The Heckler's strategy will be to portray you as a radical right, radical left, or a closed-minded scientific dogmatic ignorant of new data, or maybe a malicious oppressor of the human race.
It might be funny, but it's true. Have you seen the movie School of Rock, o Rock School, no sé cómo se llama en español? School of Rock, con Joe Black. You're the man. And the man is oppressing the human race. Oh, man. They believe that. It's something similar to chairos and priistas. Right? Digo, yo soy apolítico, a mí no me interesa nada de eso. Y respeto todas ideologías políticas. But it's similar to that attitude. Es que tú eres de los de Peña Nieto. So you're radical left or right in this case. See what I mean? That happens in the classroom. No, profe, es que usted no fue al intercambio de Inglaterra. Yo no he viajado. Yo sí. Okay? How can we neuralize them? We're going to see some techniques. Again, never, ever get mad. That's actually the first premise. Yes, read it.
How to neutralize Heckler's attack?
Yes, number one.
As much as you can, try to act sympathetic rather than angry.
Very good. So never get mad. Try sympathetic instead of angry. What happens, Carla? Perdón, te digo. Cuando tu novio se enoja contigo, más bien cuando tú te enojas con tu novio, por lo que sea, llego tarde. Y le avientas un pleitazo y acá y la escena, que es que soy tu sí, no, que no, ya sabes cómo se puede. Y tu novio no te contesta y sonríe. ¿Cómo te sientes? ¿Bien contenta porque no te contestó?
Pues no, enojada.
Pues sí. Same thing happens in the classroom. Es lo que quieren, hacerte enojar. Don't get mad. Be sympathetic. Number two, Isaac.
Ask the heckler, why do you believe that?
Sí, es que yo cuando fui de intercambio a Inglaterra, so tell me, why do you believe that, or what happened in Inglaterra that you can tell us? Many times they're bluffing, teachers. You understand bluffing? They're bluffing, o sea, cuando estás en póker, jugando póker, ¿quién sabe jugar póker? Póker está súper aburrido si no apuestas. Entonces cuando dices pago por ver, o tú blofeas o bluffing, you give a lie. No, pues yo tengo esto, yo puedo pagar esto cuando no tienes nada, eso es bluffing. Se usa en inglés when somebody is it's exaggerating something to intimidate you. No, no, Josué. Te voy a reprobar. Josué, you're bluffing. Or you're, intimidating me with a lie. That's bluffing. Hecklers normally are bluffing. They don't really mean what they say, so don't get mad, okay? Number 3. Carla.
Say to the heckler, I appreciate and share your
No,
concern.
come before, please.
Make the issue 1, 2, 3. ¿Así era esa, no? ¿La 4?
No, the 3. Number 3.
Ask the other students, did I say that?
Very good. You made a mistake. That's okay. And then Juanito Pérez, who is your heckler, profe, te equivocaste, así no es. Instead of being mad, instead of being embarrassed, ¿a poco sí? Did I say that? Yes, teacher. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just testing you if you were paying attention. And that's it. Don't give them, listen to me, don't give the importance or more importance to those guys. No, ahora sí, Carla. Next one.
Yes. Say to the heckler, I appreciate and share your concern about. However, what I was actually trying to say was, and I'm sorry you were not able to understand that.
In other words, you're stupid, but that's okay. Very politely say, oh, I'm sorry. I appreciate you telling me, but that's not what I mean. What I meant is blah, 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 blah. Again, do not get mad. Next one is the Jessie.
Make the issue raised an interest group subject. Will somebody find out about?
Ah, no, profe, Miss, así no es. Mira, yo leí de un autor que se llama Está mal. And Jessie knows that is not true. She has 2 options. Number 1, answer saying that he's a liar. Or saying, ¿a poco sí? Bueno, vamos a hacer esto. Investiguémoslo de tarea y mañana lo platicamos. What is the difference? What would happen if Jessie says, no, estás mal, te equivocaste? What would happen?
Begins a conflict.
Exactly, because you know that he's a heckler, that he is just bugging you or bothering you. But instead, if you make it a whole through or the whole group on the next day, who is going to be silly? Who is going to look bad? You or the student?
The heckler.
Exactly, the student, the heckler. Very good. I don't know if I told you this experience before. Like 7 years ago, maybe 8, I taught un colegio del bosque, que es como legionario. I gave a TOEFL course, okay, to the teachers. And we were doing some grammar thing about present perfect. I don't know, it was verbs and past participle, okay? I give you the context. Vamos a ponerle la patrona. The coordinator, she had a school too. And she wanted the project because the project was like around 100,000 pesos project. The school didn't give her the project and gave it to me. Okay, that's the context. Do you think I was the coordinator favorite person? No, she hated me. She hated me. So she was there She was with the teachers and then she sat on the back of the room observing me. Do you think with a happy face? No, she was there to see if I made a mistake. Yo dije, pues, I am very confident what I do, right? If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. I'm human. So then I remember one verb. Let me see what it was. The drive, to drive. It was, a ver, help me. Drive, drove, and past participle is?
Driving.
Say it again.
Driving.
Driving.
Yes, no?
It's driven.
Driven, very good.
Oh, yeah. Driven.
Okay, so what Jessica said, the coordinator said it. Because I said, okay, drive, drove, driven. Ok, paréntesis, ese es un ejemplo muy bueno. Jessica lo dijo auténtica. Y se corrige, ¿va? Es un mistake. She didn't. She was against me. So she was again, no, profesor, estás mal. Es driving. Así tal cual. Y todo con los brazos cruzados. Y todas, Number one, she was the coordinator. Number two, she was just bugging me. So I said, okay, guys, you know, maybe in different countries it's like that. Why don't we investigate? We have classes once a week. Why don't we investigate, and next Wednesday we discuss it? Okay. Guess what? Next Wednesday, nobody talk about it, and the coordinator never showed up again. Porque la que se vio mal fue ella. All right? So, igual vamos a ver, Jessica, vamos a investigar a ver si otros países es diferente la pronunciación. I'm just giving you a hard time. Okay, no, es drive, drove, driven. All right. ¿Cuál estamos? Yes, and last one. Carla.
When the hecklers falls back on radical skepticism, you actually believe in DNA, or the rest of the class is obviously hostile on the heckler. It's time to ask the rest of the class, shall we move on? They will be grateful.
Very good. This happened to me, eh? It was a conversation club, like Isaac is going to give in a moment. And we were talking about illness and sicknesses, right? And we were talking about HIV. You understand HIV? You see that? Okay. Y había uno que, Dios mío, yo no sé si veía películas de esas videos de conspiraciones, esos de alienígenas ancestrales y cosas así. Y decía, no, teacher, es que el HIV es un virus sintético. Y así como que, ok, bueno, pues te respeto, pues X. Pero empezó a hablar y después dijo, profe, no, I think that the DNA doesn't exist. Yeah, exactly. It was like, In that moment, it's time to say, a ver, let's move on. Not even answering. Just, why don't we move on? Okay. All right? Okay. Questions about the techniques? No? Good. So for homework, we're going to do the same with our classes, okay? Check if there's some solving discipline, apply the techniques, and see their results next week, okay? For the ones that are not currently teaching, same thing, send me a message in private so you can observe a class and do, you know, observations about group control. Sorry. Time is off. Let's take the selfie for today. 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2. Válgame. Wait. Ahí va. 1, 2. Excellent. I'll send it to you in a moment. Questions? No questions? No, very good. So, did you talk to Alex? Jesse?
Yes, he was sending me messages, WhatsApp messages, but I'm here. so,
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Just in case, there is a slight chance that the teacher stays in the classroom. The problem is that she had a family issue, so she called us that maybe she needs to skip that class. But Alex, whatever Alex says, it's okay.
Okay, just a question. Well, I use the cell phone, and I cannot see all of you, so it's not a problem. That
No,
not-
you figure it out. You'll figure it out. If you use cell phone, you can scroll and see everybody. Or I'll ask Alex to give you, no, he will give you the username and the password. So you'll be the host. When it's the host, you can see who raised hand. You can see who raised the hand, the virtual hand.
Okay,
So ask them to, whenever they want to comment, que alcen la mano virtual. Mhm.
okay,
Or
Yep.
if they don't participate, call on them. It's a they need to participate.
okie dokie, teacher. Okay, let me check.
No, es cierto. Tú tienes el conversation club, Isaac. Tú tienes regularización. De todas maneras, tienen que participar, Jesse. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. Anything else, you send me a message. Have a nice weekend. Drink a lot, party a lot. Josue, yes.
A quick question.
Yes.
I may have a little time, so I want to see if I can stay in the club conversation maybe for half an hour or an hour. It's okay, can I?
Yeah, sure. With Isaac, I don't think you have the. No, el conversión club. Si lo tienes. No, tú tienes entre semana, ¿ah?
No.
Ok. ¿Quién sería el otro? ¿Quién sabe? Pero bueno, te lo mando ahorita el horario, Josué, con el ID.
Ok, just to have it.
Sí, no problema. Todos mis alumnos de mis alumnos, o sea, que tienen derecho a entrar a clases, ¿eh? Ese es ¿por qué? Pues porque van a ser maestros.
¿Cómo que derecho a entrar a clases, teacher? O
Sí,
sea,
pueden entrar a clases de inglés.
así como, o sea, para observar las clases.
Sí, sí.
Ay, eso me interesa.
Sí, yo ahorita les mando el horario, el actualizado, se lo mando al chat para que lo tengan y pueden entrar. Digo, o sea, no esperaría que entraran las 4 horas y así, ¿verdad? Obviamente. Pero pueden agendar y decir, oye, puedo entrar a ver esta, puedo entrar a ver esta otra. Y por si las
Ok.
cosas. De hecho, Carla y Isaac ya trabajan para mí y no tiene nada de malo que, por ejemplo, Josué entra a la clase de Carla y entre ustedes se den feedback. Eso es bueno.
Ah, eso está padre. Sí, está padre. De hecho, yo iba a proponer hace 2 clases que no sé si se pueda, ¿verdad? Pero ya ves que estuvimos viendo, por ejemplo, el tema de lesson planning y todo esto. Yo iba a proponer que igual quien quisiera acercarse también conmigo para como crear así una clase y presentarla contigo, pues acá está, ahí está mi número.
No, sí, de hecho sí es parte del curso que yo los observe.
Yes.
Entonces, vamos a trabajar en eso, pero sí, yo te les mando el horario Y ya ustedes me dicen qué día y qué hora. Y adelante.
Excellent.
Perfect. Yes, Josué.
Hablando de eso, entonces, ¿cómo podría yo agendar? Yo he dado, bueno, algunas clases ahí en Defero,
Ujú.
pero me ha pedido Alex, ¿no? Que las cubra. Si
Sí.
yo quisiera entrar a una, le tengo que avisar, tengo que mandar el mensaje a quién, a Alex, para
No,
ver.
yo ahorita les mando el horario.
Ok.
Vamos, para no sobrecargar a Alex y a Emily, porque ya son 200 alumnos que están agendando y así. Bendito Dios. A ustedes en particular, yo les mando el horario y ustedes me dicen a mí. Yo tengo acceso al sistema de agenda y yo los agendo directamente. ¿Sale? Para que ustedes, ya si tú me dices, Josué, oye, yo quiero estar en todos los clubes de conversación, pues ya te dejo. Ahora sí que vean primero el horario y luego me dices.
Ok.
¿Vale?
Gracias.
Thank you very much. Ay, estas niñas. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend. See you during the week.
Bye.
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 Gracias, teacher. Excelente clase.
No, thank you.